And welcome back to the Double Radio Gamescast. As always, I'm your host, Ryan, and today I'm joined by my lovely cohort of co-hosts, Wyatt.
Hello.
Alex.
One of these days I'm gonna find a camera that doesn't brick my computer.
And Brett.
Bonjour.
Who's been living in France for the past week.
Clair Obscur. Clair Obscur, a
God.
game so good that it brought Brett back from the fucking dead.
It's true. I show up now only for certain things, and it's to shill for them.
Yeah.
That's
It's
fair.
one of the
That's
things
fair.
I will shill for.
That's fair.
All right, well, this week we're doing the fun thing of we're talking about video games, because we've been playing a lot of video games. Namely, a couple of things that kind of got dropped on all of our heads in the last week. So, before we get into the games themselves, I think everyone's interested in things like, we got our Oblivion Remastered talk, we got our Clair Obscur talk. Wyatt, I want to start with the Switch 2 pre-orders situation.
Oh my god.
And get this out of the way. So we did our whole thoughts on the Switch 2 thing a couple weeks ago. Switch 2 pre-orders went live. I have managed to secure one, and I have also managed to secure a second one in honor of Wyatt.
So here's the thing, right? Okay, first of all, not to make too fine a point of it, thank you, Ryan. Very unnecessary, but I really appreciate it. You didn't have to do that, but you did. I do want to say, though, we are in this situation not through lack of trying on my part.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a witness as to the amount of effort that went into trying to get this pre-order situation to work. Ryan and I, on pre-order night, were in a call together. We even decided to stream each other's screens so we could just turn it into a little party with us just trying to figure things out. We had different retailer websites open. We were refreshing constantly. I made accounts for everything so I could get through the checkout process easier. I went through all the steps. I did everything. But god damn it. It just... The websites just fucking gave up.
Target broke immediately, and somehow I'm the only one that managed to get a Switch through Target.
As did GameStop the next day. Immediately just choked. But it was a Herculean effort for 2 hours trying to get something to work. All of the websites were just not functioning properly, to the point that they teased me. There was a point where I had ordered one, it was in the cart, I hit checkout, everything was good to go. I had a tracking number and everything. It was ready to go. And then they canceled it. Which is that's just the worst part. It's listen, give it to me or don't give it to me. This is worse. This is so much worse.
Giving it to you and then taking it away.
They blew
and then on top of that, this isn't as bad, but Ryan saw countless times there were moments where I had one in my cart and then I'd go to checkout and they're like, sorry, there was some sort of error. We couldn't.
That was the Target breaking apart. It fully stopped working.
Also, my bank flagged. One of the reasons it was canceled was my bank flagged it as a fraudulent charge, so I couldn't use my bank account. I couldn't use my card the whole night. It was a fucking disaster.
Very funny. Moral of the story: look, TD Bank kind of sucks.
I mean, yeah, that's part of the moral of the story. The other moral of the story is don't believe Nintendo when they say they have enough supply to match demand, because they never do. They never will. It's just
they can't. It's not possible.
They can't. And you can, when they said they had something to avoid scalpers, maybe for their website, yes, but for anything else, no.
Yeah, I think what they meant by the thing to avoid scalpers is the whole May 8th Nintendo Online subscriber chance to get Switches thing. But yeah, we'll see. That I think both of us also signed up for, so we'll see if that comes through, if anyone else needs one.
I'm part of a family plan, so I don't even know if it applies to me. It applies to whoever the owner of the family.
There's a lot of confusion as to whether or not family plans work the way we expect them to work and whatnot. So yeah, we'll see.
It was. I'm sure it was a show on Ryan's end. For me, I was pulling hair out. I was going a little insane. But looking back on it, it was kind of fun. Although I did have to get up for work in 4 hours after that, so that wasn't as much fun. And it was all for nothing at the time. So,
Yep. Otherwise, I think at this point we've gotten 2 of them.
correction, Ryan's
Hopefully-
gotten 2 of them.
I've gotten 2 of them. One of which is addressed to you in the checkout.
For
So
now.
hopefully that goes through okay. But
Brett, don't you dare bring those bad vibes in here.
it's Walmart 2, which is the one that canceled. So I'm not sure. It seems good. It's been a couple days, so I think it's fine.
I'm done.
Because I think that first time was because of the card thing, so I don't think it's actually Walmart doing it. But we'll see. Otherwise, I'm excited to try that when it gets here, because at least for me, I'm going on vacation like a week after the Switch 2 launch, so it'll be fun to kind of test drive it that way. Yeah, looking forward to Mario Kart. That's basically the only thing about the Switch 2, because I think everything else that anyone will be playing on the Switch 2 is probably Zelda, but better. I think is really the only other thing that people are going to be playing on Switch 2.
But for what an exorbitant price.
I love Cyberpunk. I don't know that I need to play it again on the Switch 2.
Well, okay, you know what? I'll say this. There's a lot of people, a significant amount of people, where their only game consoles Switch.
Oh,
Cool
totally.
that they're getting it at all. It's cool that they're getting it at all.
Gonna be great for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've played Cyberpunk like 3 times, so I think I'm good on my Cyberpunk as of
I
now.
keep meaning to sit down and do a playthrough, but then something comes out or another backlog item catches my interest a little bit more. But I've been meaning to do a second playthrough. Anyway,
The DLC is really good.
yeah. Anyway, wow. To the shock of absolutely no one, pre-ordering a game console in the current day is a fucking disaster.
Yeah, though I
It's a
think
shock to,
significantly
Nintendo.
less of a disaster than last time. Also, welcome Alex popping in.
Hello, sorry. Literally forgot it was Sunday.
Are you in the Switch 2 train,
Detective
Alex?
Pikachu.
Are you just chilling, not worrying about a Switch 2?
In between? I'm just gonna wait until Nintendo sends me that email that says I can order it from them. I don't want to fight. I don't need it day 1, minute 1. But,
Yeah.
I'll try to get it when I can.
If you
when
can get
it's-
it without
when
the
it's not-
hassle, you're okay with it, but you don't want to deal with the...
Yeah,
My
eventually I'm gonna get one. I think I was late to the Switch. I definitely want a Switch
Mhm.
2. I'm excited for what it brings. I just don't want to get in a fight for it right now.
Yeah. My only
Yeah.
thing
I
is
did
we
that
don't-
with the
we don't
PS5.
know- We don't know what the future is going to hold in terms of how future tariffs are going to affect things. So
Yeah, that's true.
this might be the cheapest that it's ever going to be, especially because Nintendo doesn't lower prices on anything ever.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
All right.
I'll just keep playing Pokemon Platinum on my Nintendo DS that I already own.
Hell yeah.
And
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
Well, let's
Ride
talk
it out.
about video games. I think I can feel Brett just vibrating in the corner from
He's
here.
turning more French every second the more he doesn't talk about it.
2 states over.
True.
He's
It's
wearing
bad.
a beret, you just can't see it right now.
Yes,
Oh, no.
yeah. And it's very tight. My
He's
that brain is
growing
getting enough blood.
He's growing a beautifully kept mustache.
Yes. So all this to all this to say that I am the I believe the sole champion of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 for right now, while everybody's on the your goddamn Oblivion train.
I do plan on playing it though. I am interested enough.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the year last year,
Yes,
it is my most hyped game of the year until Oblivion swung its way.
Jump scare. Which I gotta say, that was a worry of mine. That yes, they're not the same exact audience, but they're both RPGs, and especially one a little new guy.
Yeah,
Oh no.
Mhm.
and we lose Brett mid-sentence.
Bastard being
Oh, he's back.
mastered. Oh, that cut out for everybody too. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're back
a
now.
little
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably gonna happen every like 15 minutes or something. Just get ready. I was a little worried about that though, because as you can imagine, being a new little game showing up to the party and jump scare like 2 days before, like a really good remaster of one of the most beloved games of all time in like an adjacent genre to yours drops, and I could just totally imagine being a part of the team at Sandfall.
Yeah,
And
it kind
just
of feels like
being
they got
"Ah,
Horizon Zero
shit."
Dawned a little bit.
It's
Well,
yeah,
you know
but
what
I
this
I
feels
gotta
like?
tell you, you just say what
You
you're
know,
gonna say.
you know what this feels like is when sometimes Disney passive aggressively re-releases one of their like classic animated movies in theaters, right when like a big animated movie comes out. They've done that a couple
Yeah,
times. It kind of feels like that.
yeah.
It's like, oh, are you looking forward to whatever this animated thing is? Here's the Lion King again. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, yeah. It I would imagine being very worried if you were a part of the team, but I don't think it ended up mattering in the end because they sold 500,000 in the first day, and as of earlier today, they sold 1 million copies, not
Oh my god.
counting Game Pass or anything, which is
Yeah, which
like
is also
Yep.
for a team of
insane.
like 30 people, right? It's like
Yes,
somewhere between 30
30
and 40.
people. 30 people,
Super
debut
impressive.
title. Absolutely bonkers. And
Yeah.
that is my biggest thing why I'm going crazy over this right now is because this is the living example of how every single thing going on in the AAA space is completely incorrect and is just antithetical to making anything good. You do not need 500 people or 20 years to make a video game that looks or plays like this at all. That is a myth that we're all believing and have been made to believe for the last like 15 years or something like that. You don't need it. You just need 30 passionate French people and Ben Starr, and there you go.
That's your
Like seriously, like I like just like watching like the they have a bunch of videos on the dev's YouTube channel, just like detailing some parts of the development and like highlighting certain aspects of the game and stuff. And I watched some of that like leading right up to release because they actually were pretty good about spoilers, which is nice of them. And just like hearing things like, "Oh yeah, I'm Mr. Composer Man," and I just like once a week would just like compose a song just to keep my creative juices flowing, and then I would post them to SoundCloud. And one day I went to a forum that I had never been to before and didn't care about, and posted a thing there to see what would happen. And that was the same day that the director of the game visited that forum that he never goes to and doesn't care about, and
Wow.
hired me on the spot. And that's how they found the composer for the game.
That's
who has
incredible.
composed an over
Wow.
hour soundtrack that is like insane. And this same
That
guy,
sounds a lot like Soken's like story from Final Fantasy.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I was like, the only people that I can compare him to at all are Soken or Uematsu, where it's just like super situational hiring process of joining the team in a really casual way, but like afterward they just have like the most insane output you could possibly imagine.
Mhm.
This Uematsu and Soken are also like the only two other people on the planet that I could imagine solo composing a score for a full length game like this.
Rare talent.
And it's super rare talent, and it is like good music too. Like this is like near level music, which is definitely an apt comparison to make because it really do be sounding like Emmy Evans, even though it's not. But yeah, Clair Obscur. We should probably talk about what it even is.
Yeah,
Is the world's first JRPG from the French team at Sandfall
That's
Interactive.
incredible.
Thank you for laughing at that. I didn't make it up, but I will take credit for it. People have also been calling it Final Fantasy because
That's
even though
the best
it
name.
has
Should
this
That's great.
very like
Oh,
modern AAA-esque art style where with very realistic looking character models and lush particle affected nature environments. This shit, the turns are based as they should be. And
It also seems like it does the Legend of Dragoon thing, but good.
should we
yeah,
mention
yeah.
what I was told this game
Yeah,
was
we
like
should.
at
We should.
first?
We
Yes,
gotta
they
throw
should,
some shade
because
at our
it's just
friend.
insane. It's
So
yeah.
I'm not gonna mention who told me this.
Look, he knows
But
who he
Save
is.
yourself for the insult.
someone was like deep into this game as well, multiple hours, enough to know what the gameplay was like. And I was like, oh yeah, I've heard some pretty good stuff about it. What's it like? And he goes to me and he says, oh, it's wonderful. It plays just like Sekiro.
Psychotic
And that got me really excited.
interpretation.
And then I hear from these guys,
What?
oh, it's turn-based.
Oh, and you
Yes,
thought it
it's
was a
turn-based.
Oh,
It has
no.
it has the
No.
parry mechanic. Okay, but so does like I don't know, like
That means
real
it's a
life.
Souls-like, right? If you can
Yes, of course.
parry melee attacks in a video game, that makes it a Souls-like.
Yes, you can parry melee attacks. Your characters, they technically roll when they fall from a certain distance, so I guess that counts as a dodge roll. And there are certain times where doors don't open from the side that you approach.
Are
them
there
at first, so
bonfires?
you have to.
Are there bonfires?
You know what? There are checkpoints that you find to sit down and rest at. So I'm thinking that's.
So I'm
close
hearing
enough.
it's more like Bloodborne. Yeah.
It's exactly like Bloodborne, 1-to-1,
Okay.
exactly like Bloodborne, with no differences
So we got Bloodborne
whatsoever.
2 from a French studio. Nice.
Yes, exactly.
Sweet.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
So not only do we have I can't believe such a small group of people are making a game that looks like, if you didn't know any of the statistics of its development, you could probably be fooled into thinking this is.
No, I'm about to say a thing, Brett, that I know is going to make you cringe really hard when I say it, but I mean it as a compliment. It looks like Forspoken.
Forspoken, yes.
I mean that in the good way, not in the
It's-
Forspoken
no,
way.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what's really funny about that? That thought has been in the back of my head forever, but I didn't want to spoil the fun for anyone, so I didn't want to fucking say anything.
No, me too, because I just, like, even looking at leading up to release, like, okay, these characters are all wearing, like, dark colors with very, like, shiny gold trim and very thin little
We've got like
lines
the
around them,
crazy
very
high
geometric.
fantasy environment mixed with that too.
Yes, yeah, and so I'm just like, this is very like Final Fantasy 15 Forspoken coded, and am I gonna like this? This is very strange. But it turns out if you put legible UI, design a game, and like
Get rid of any talking
care
cuffs.
about
Get rid of any talking cuffs.
get rid of any
whatsoever.
talking cuffs. I don't think there are any inanimate objects that talk in the whole game, so I guess that's a spoiler. But sorry. But
You heard it
yeah,
here first.
not
The French game is free of British narrator.
It's true, and that's incredible. But it's like it is sickeningly competent. It is crazy how they just got everything right.
I think there's a very significant chance, based on what you've told me about this game, that it's going to be my game of the year.
I think I don't know what's going to beat it for me that I know is coming out. I'm not like saying that it's impossible that something could really surprise me for the whole entire rest of the year, but like this is hitting every single bullet point, and it's like it's not even that. Oh, it does all the JRPG things that you would expect. It does that and more. So we're gonna I will talk a little bit about things that you can expect to see within the first, as if you were to give it like the demo treatment. Right?
Yeah, the Game Pass treatment, which we probably will be giving it at some point.
Yeah.
Oh,
But this
probably.
I gotta tell you too. Just even from that, this is not like when we did the Persona games and we got to see 0% of the game
Mhm.
because they take 9 million years to start up. This game has one of the most impactful and effective first half an hour sequences that I have seen in a very, very, very long time. But basically, the premise is this poor French society on the water on this isolated island are plagued by the fact that this big statue lady called the Paintress, who's chilling out on this monolith across the ocean, wakes up at the same time every year and paints a number descending down from 100, and everybody who is that age just fucking dies and just fades away into a puff of flowers. And she's been doing that all the way from 100, and she's all the way down at 33 now. And so you can imagine just how hopeless of a society that is to not have there's obviously fantasy magic and some fantasy tech in it, but it's not they don't have
fucking particle accelerators and like rocket ships or anything like that. This is like 70 something years have gone by and we still haven't figured out this shit yet. So, oh my god, all these people that you're talking to at the beginning are like, you're going on an expedition. Why don't you do something useful with your life and like live it out to like the fullest, or like contribute to the society that we have right now instead of pretending like you're gonna be able to
Just accept that
win
we're all gonna
every
die
fight?
in 10 something years. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the kind of like how Chrono Trigger, the whole entire intro segment at the festival at the beginning of Chrono Trigger is a perfect little microcosm of exactly the point of the whole game, that your choices
Yeah.
matter. And
Hell
you can
yeah.
expect that same message to be present through the entire game until the very end. Clair Obscur does the same thing where you're walking around the town before any combat or anything takes place, and you can talk to people, and every single character has a different interpretation of is like, okay, I'm like 20 something now, so in a few years later I'm going to get a little older and the count's going to come down a little more and I'm just going to die and there's nothing I can do about it. So am I going to be sad about it? Am I gonna not care? Am I gonna have a just happy-go-lucky reaction towards it? Am I gonna? You can walk up to a locked apartment door and find two people that are supposed to be dying within the next few hours, just fucking, and they're just like, okay, this is how they chose to spend their last minutes, I guess. You like the entire gamut is run in just that first little segment, and then the countdown to 33 happens, and it's very sad and poignant. They do a really good job of making you actually feel something. But then you go out on the expedition and the game starts, and oh my god, there's like a level, and it's like designed with paths for you to go around, and it's not just a giant plane with no direction and markers telling you that, get this, there's no map. There's no mini map in the game. There's
Oh.
nothing on the screen telling
Yeah.
you, hey, go here. Guess what? The next checkpoint is over here. You better run over here faster. You're gonna die. It's no. It's I'm in a mysterious land that I had absolutely no idea about. I guess I really am in a mysterious land that I know absolutely nothing about. And what
You know
this
someone's
means,
gonna complain about that too, where someone's like,
oh, people
"It's an
already are.
RPG in the year 2025 and there's no map. What's going on?"
It's called being a good game. Okay, and get used to it. But like to be fair, at first I was like, oh man, it's not like a Chrono Trigger old school Final Fantasy where it's like the top down pixelated thing and you can very visibly see the paths that you can and can't go down, right? It's like this it's literally like the most gorgeous Unreal Engine 5 like batting next to Ghost of Tsushima levels of environmental like art, and it's all so bright and contrasty. I'm just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what is rocks, what is climbable. But after a while, you do get used to it. Um, which has actually resulted in me having to go back to the first area to find a bunch of secrets, because yes, there are secrets, and it's not just the other
As any good
end
game
of
should
the
have.
spectrum. Exactly, but it's not the other end of the spectrum where it's just a straight line to the next part, right? Like even though I love Final Fantasy 13, it's not just the hallway. It has actual branching paths, and sometimes because I feel like this is a pretty common attitude towards games that have exploration is you want to go the wrong way first, right? So that you can find some secrets that might help you on your way of going the right way after. Because who knows? If you go the right way, there might be a cutscene that happens and the path behind you just like blew up and you can't go back there anymore, and you just lost out on going the wrong way first. Um, it's extremely difficult to do because sometimes the wrong way is literally just as long as the right way, and it just ends in like a secret like boss or group of way harder
Sweet.
enemies that just give you like it's like what it's like 2 levels being condensed into one for every single dungeon, and it's just crazy to me. And the part that has wowed me the most is that the dungeon happens. And again, no specifics because these are all things that you could definitely experience within your first hour of gameplay. And you don't even have to be running through it really fast for that. The first dungeon ends, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the menu screen with pretty art on it that lets me fast travel to the next area. No. For the first time in probably actually 25 years, there's an actual world map that you can walk around on, and your characters are like bigger than the environment around them. And the way they did this, it's not just like, because it's like, okay, how do you? That's more. It's easier to consume when you're looking at an SNES, right? And you see, okay, well, the characters have to be bigger than the castles around them because there's like, there's only so big you can make a sprite on this level of like, whatever. So how it's going to look cheesy and stupid if you do it with modern graphics? And no, they did the smart thing, and it's beautiful because I don't even know how they did this effect, but the environment in the overworld looks like a diorama. It looks like a little tiny version of a world with like everything. It looks like
That's fun.
I don't know how to describe it exactly, but when you're watching like a movie from the 80s or something, and you can tell that this part was filmed in a diorama, like maybe like the explosion that happens is like, okay, those sparks would be like 20 feet long, dude. Like that's but my suspension of disbelief is being upheld. Like it has like that kind of effect. Where
Yeah.
it's like you can tell that everything around the characters is supposed to be a little diorama, and it's a whole Final Fantasy VII classic style overworld that you can run around on. There are paths that are blocked that you can get to later.
Oh, I will say, Brett, there is, I mean, I guess minor spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth gameplay mechanics. Rebirth does have a world map. So it's not being completely abandoned.
Not completely, but like the Final Fantasy 16 has a menu. Final Fantasy 13 has a straight line.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12 just has big areas and
Dragon Quest
like
is kind of
the
doing them
menu
too.
to choose between them. But there's just like the point is that this is a thing that was in every classic game in the genre, and it's been mostly forgotten about, mostly not bothered with, because it's easier to just have a menu to pick between. And I think having an actual world map to go through is just an insane choice for, again, such a small team, for it being so fully realized. There's no like spots that if you walk up the rock at a wrong angle, you're gonna clip through, and there's like a hole you can see through the world. No, there's none of that.
The thing that I really like about the world map approach, having not played Clair Obscur yet, but in other games that do this, and I'm curious if this is what you agree with, Brett, is, to me, a world map gets across the sense of you being on a journey way better than any kind of like separated map does. And I actually think it's something that Final Fantasy XII does not have like a traditional world map, but it does have the sort of transfers that lead from world map to world map kind of that does a similar thing, but you kind of lose out the scale of the world. So yeah.
I think the reason for that is if you have your characters and you want to have this sense of like being on a journey, I think zooming out your camera and having the world around your characters be more of a focus than the actual characters is kind of the key there.
Yes,
because that's kind of what your focus is. It's like I from what I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. Death Stranding did a similar thing where, like, especially if you kind of reach a new area, the like
it zooms out, music starts playing,
and that really has that feeling as well.
Yeah, I mean, because classically that would be like you get your chocobo or your airship, and that would be like the airship or the chocobo theme starts playing, and the world map kind of pulls out a little bit. And you get that like sense of the world being really big, but you can move through it in this like cool way. Which I really like. I got a couple of JRPG quick questions for you, Brett.
I have answers.
I think to establish, and yes, it's a French game, but I think it's a JRPG by genre. So
this is probably one of the real quick. This is one of the only games that says like, oh, we're really inspired by the classics like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 and Chrono Trigger, and like actually does it. And
they're really open about what the inspirations are. So how many party members you got in combat? Not in total, but in combat.
You got 3.
You got three,
Many is the
classic
magic number.
3-person party.
Ryan's like taking notes.
Yeah, hey, this is the people that like JRPGs like their mechanics, so I want to dive in.
no,
I want to
that's
go and
Oh
see.
my god, dude.
I'm diving
You're-
into the
I-
mechanics. Do you
This
heal
might
after
be a-
fights?
You do not automatically heal after fights, but instead of potions that you have to buy and keep stock of, you get a over the course of the game an increasing amount of just like a usable group heal Estus flask, basically. that
Yeah, so what
comes
I'm
back when you
hearing
rest.
is it's like Sekiro.
Exactly like Sekiro.
Oh my
Perfect
God.
comparison.
Perfect. Do the different
Well,
characters
this
have
sounds like a
different
game
mini
for
games
me.
when they fight?
Ryan, I need to let you know that for me, this will be like, oh man, this is going to be a long, like 90-hour experience because I want to do everything. This is going to be a 2,000-hour gameplay experience for you. The amount of things that you can unlock that are unique to every single character is insane to me. Not every single character plays completely differently, and yet they can all overlap into everyone's respective roles. I don't know how they did it. Like they all have different. You all have to like press the buttons at the right time to do the things, right? But
Mm-hmm.
The Gustav, the guy you start with, his main thing is building up an overcharge meter, and which is separate from all the other meters in the game, which is separate from health and AP and whatever the fuck else. Different moves on his. You can have 6 skills at a time. Different moves on his skill list will recharge different amounts of overcharge charge. And you can like mix and match all of them to build up to 10 full charge as in as few turns as possible. And then once he hits 10, he has a special attack that's unique to him that just does a shitload of damage. And so you can build him around, okay, how do I fill up his overcharge meter the fastest to get that big damage? But he also has moves that can... 'cause every character has a free aim, which means that even though it's a turn-based game, you could just hold down left trigger and just Call of Duty the shit out of enemies until you run out of ammo. It's the same ammo that you use for skills, so it's probably not the best idea, but Gustav has some abilities where you can your shot has a chance to mark an enemy. What marking does is make it take 50% more damage on its next damage instance. So you could just like shoot a bunch of times until somebody gets marked. Awesome. Now I have a little a thing on him that gives him like I forget if it's like 25% more attack on a base attack. So not even any abilities. And I have another little thing on him that gives him more damage on marked enemies. So even though these are like, I'll be in like a way higher level place that I'm not supposed to be in yet, I could just like mark a guy and basic attack him, and because I've built this stupid idiot in this way, it does like thousands and thousands of damage. It's
Incredible.
Now,
Very,
I have
very
a
good.
question. I have a question. And this isn't like a gotcha. I'm genuinely curious because you've been very outspoken about wanting more, and I think most of us are as well, wanting more like strong art direction in games that isn't just photo real, right?
insane.
What's the difference between this and something that is photo real but kind of bores you in comparison?
They remembered to put color in the game. And even though that you're looking at like a rocky mountain or whatever, like the sunlight beaming in will have everything be really like just like bathed in these warm tones, and it's like right on the side of the sea, so like you're platforming over this like water's like splashing up and there's like waves going everywhere, and it's so like it's it's a lot of painterly and artistic themes are used in the game, so it's definitely trying to evoke being in a more like romanticized reality than just having realistic looking stuff. But there are just some areas in particular where just like the flowers will be like blindingly pink. It's the
Well, that's
same
the
thing as
key.
Ghost of Tsushima.
I was about to say
Where
that's the key if you have photo real, I
exactly.
feel like, is that you like obviously like oh, I can count every individual pore on someone's nose. Isn't that cool? But it's like you have to have, especially with your color palette, you have to have and light it. You have to have it like right on the edge of unrealistic, but still believable enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett, how much on the Robert Pattinson scale is the main character?
100%.
Okay, great.
Almost undeniable. I'd like
He's so
the amount
Pattinson
of
coded.
people, including you and Alex, Ryan, the amount of people that have come up to me and be like, did you know this guy looks like Robert Pattinson? And I'd just be like, yeah, okay, you're added to the list. It's like insane.
Yep.
It's hilarious, but it's so true. I'm surprised it's not actually him. I genuinely wonder if like they were looking to him for inspiration or something. Like
Who
sometimes
voices
like
him? Is that
devs
the
do.
Ben Starr? Is that who Ben Starr
No,
voices?
Ben Starr voices
No,
a different
okay.
character that I can't say a single thing about because he couldn't either when he was doing interviews for the game.
Perfect.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Main character guy is voiced by Daredevil. I think.
Oh, huh.
Yes.
What?
Neat.
I don't know which one because I think there's multiple Daredevil.
Charlie Cox? No way.
Well, it's not going to be Ben Affleck.
That's crazy
gonna
and
say,
very
it's not-
cool.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
They
I
got
didn't
some
know that.
Andy Serkis is at the game too, by the way. They have
Oh,
some
that's
crazy
rad.
star
good.
power.
So
I'm
cool.
assuming he's doing mocap for some of the creatures.
He might have honestly because they showed some a lot of mocap stuff in the development videos.
Now, Brett, is there a cool dog?
Can you pet it?
Like a pet companion.
Like anything. Is there a cool dog?
So, okay,
Dog can be
even-
liberal here. Reminder that in Dark Souls, turtles are dogs. So
This is true. See, I'm gonna preface this by saying that along with the world map, Final Fantasy games in particular have another lost art that has not been, other than Final Fantasy VII Remake, I guess, has not been unearthed in many decades, and that is the creature.
yep,
It
the
used
mascot.
to be that every party would have a creature in it, at least one, sometimes even two or three, because
Whoa.
okay, this is a fantastic world. It's like every time I go to see it, like a Star Wars anything, and the cast is completely human, I don't care what they identify as or what their skin color is. That is so boring, dude. You have people that are like some of the wackiest alien designs ever, and obviously have your real diversity of things in real life in the human characters. But like, come on, you're not gonna give me any robots or
I need a Red 13,
8-foot-tall
like-
aliens. Exactly, I need a Red 13. I need the dog, and there's a dog.
Perfect.
There's a dog and his son.
Amazing. And this probably kind of goes hand in hand with that. Are there party members that they didn't show off in the announcements, trailers?
Yes.
Sweet. Very cool. All right, that's my burning JRPG questions answered.
Actually, that kind of transitions perfectly into something that I wanted to mention. It's quickly becoming a sign of quality when you're marketing your game. The reveal trailer for this is exactly how you should reveal a video game. Because I always want to point this out whenever it happens because
it
this
shows
is the
like
way
the
it should be
prologue
done.
hook, but that's about as far as it goes.
But it does show gameplay
Yeah.
with UI.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful.
It's becoming a kiss of quality. Like anytime that happens, I'm immediately like my ears perk up because it's like, oh, they're confident enough to show off what they're working on. Not just like CG stuff, not live action, whatever, not gameplay without UI. Fuck that shit. Like actual gameplay. And that's so we need to start doing that more. It's
Yeah.
driving me insane.
I know.
All right.
We've been saying that for so long.
Final burning JRPG question I had that I forgot to ask Brett. Are there side towns?
What do you side towns like?
Just like in a JRPG, you go to a little town and you can do random things in the town, but whether that be a quest for somebody or whatnot. Granted, with the nature of this game's like time limited story, presumably, at least there's like an overall driver. Is there like any towns that you can do side quests for or something like that?
Yeah,
or is it
there's
more direct drive?
There's one main pretty sizably packed town of creatures that I've been to so far, and there's a bunch of little like shopkeepers that just sell cosmetics.
Perfect.
And like there's an arena. There's 2 arenas that you can go through. And the combat is so good that I actually don't mind
Brett,
it this time.
you
It
couldn't
both
have
of
said
them.
a word that would have gotten me more excited than Arena.
It's they're admittedly they're not like
Welcome
30
to the
instance
arena.
long like crazy grueling
Mhm.
fights, but that's for like the 20-mile tall enemies that stomp around the overworld. That you
Yeah,
can
that's
find
the super
outside.
bosses.
There are like 4 of at least. Exactly, yeah.
The arena's
But,
for
like,
me to
even
just beat
aside
people
from-
up.
Yes, yeah. But I think important to mention that aside from the towns or the town itself, you kind of get the same thing from the side quests and collectathon-y things that you turn into your camp that you can open up at any time on the overworld, and it's not just like oh, thank God I put down the tent and I get my health and MP back. It's a little secluded campfire at night scene where you can put music into your record player that you can find around the world and little
Wonderful.
metaphor-esque like photo
Ooh.
ops. You can talk to all of your party members, even the ones that aren't in your active party, and have like sit down conversations with them with dialogue choices. And there's
That almost feels very Dragon Age. It's great.
it feels like Tales of also the little like skits or
Like the
whatever.
heart to hearts.
Yeah.
So it's just like Avowed.
There's like a blacksmith guy and a guy that you turn in some collectathon-y things to. But there's all like you could just go to a side area that's not necessarily a town, but it'll just be like a short dungeon where like a guy's just chilling in the back and he'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sad. My I need this that only drops from the 3 super bosses in the near vicinity. If only you would kill all of them and bring them back to me, and then maybe kill me after that." There's like multiple of those. So there's a lot of side content to do and not just like power through
Very cool.
the main stuff, which is good.
All right. How are you feeling about this compared to Metaphor? Because I know you also played Metaphor last year, but I think you're the only one of us that actually got really deep into that game. So, what's your over/under on the 2?
So I really like Metaphor a lot, but there came a part in the story about 2/3 of the way through where just a bunch of stupid bullshit happened, and I was just forced to accept it. And it unfortunately it just actually happened, and it wasn't like a gotcha or like we'll run that back with something cool right after. And I was like, okay, well the game is really good, but that's really stupid. I don't because obviously I've just gotten to Act 2 of Clair Obscur. I have not finished it yet. But as long as that doesn't happen, I think there's enough novel, legitimately groundbreakingly cool and new, while also like referentially like old school awesome stuff in Clair Obscur that I think I will like it more. And I cannot believe that like I think if it looked like Metaphor, it would probably be my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Even though I like the realistic graphic style, I'll always prefer something more.
Metaphor's like crazy art style. It's super cool.
Yeah. But I think
Yeah.
that's a good point to bring up that I will consider again once the game's over, because I think that apart from them both being in the same genre and it being interesting to talk about them, because one is made by Big Boy Atlas, and another is made by who knows, maybe soon to be Big Boy Sandfall at this rate.
Well,
I
they're
think-
published by Kepler Interactive that does a lot
Kepler,
of really
yeah.
cool. They publish like Scorn and Ultros and a lot of really cool stuff. Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
good.
keep
to
going.
know.
Didn't mean to
Yeah.
actually you.
That's good because I didn't know that. I think the important thing is that I think they have some of the same things to say about their whole like deeper meaning, and Metaphor is definitely very like you can't go half an hour into the game without it just forcing its metaphor into your face immediately.
It's
And
very
it
clear
does
about
that
what it's
well.
going for.
Exactly, it does that well. Like the using the anxieties of an entire populace and like personifying that into an election season that is like crazy and
Oh.
chaotic, and like how do you like what's your reaction as any of these characters you know, any of their reaction to living in this hellhole? Do they want to die? Do they want to fight for it? Do they want to just give up? Do they want to leave it to somebody else to do? Do they have more personal things to account for before
Mhm.
that? That was all really, really, really well handled in Metaphor, in my opinion. And even though it's a vastly different premise story wise, they talk about the kind of like strife of living in this shit world that they're in a very similar way, where I think having the Metaphor and Clair Obscur can definitely be in conversation with each other as kind of having similar points. But I yeah, unless there's like some stupid garbage that happens in the story, I mean they've already thrown like multiple twists at me, which
I
is why I have
imagine
not
any
been able to
good
say or
RPG.
show anything.
Wait,
But it's
so
like, oh
multiple
my
twists,
lord.
and you're just in Act 2?
Yes. Act 1 ended last night, and I was like, fuck, dude. God damn it. Why would they do this? And it's awesome.
Twists are the reason
They
people
just
play
go-
JRPGs.
Exactly. Like, this is
I
like.
didn't know they happened that early.
Oh,
Talk
all
about
the time.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's why so many of the classics are classics, is because they were just like, well, we're putting our entire development staff and cost into this one game, so we might as well put all our ideas into it. And if they have to come to fruition,
Especially with like
2
Chrono
hours into the
Trigger
game,
as a inspiration, yeah, that makes a lot of
Exactly.
sense.
exactly.
Yeah, there's a reason those older games are held in as high regard as they are. All right, well, it sounds like you're having a great time with Clair Obscur overall, and I'm very excited to play it as soon as I'm out of the fugue state. But before we talk
Yes.
about the fugue state game, because I think that's going to eat the rest of the episode once we start talking about
For
it,
sure.
I want to talk about a little game that Wyatt and I have been playing. A little franchise that we've been going into and committing some war crimes with.
You got me hooked in a way that I wasn't quite expecting. Like I think I said this before we turned the camera on. It's like it's one of those things where like you discover a game that scratches an itch that you didn't even know that you had.
Especially because
It's-
we're talking about Orcs Must Die, which I think we've mentioned once or twice, the Orcs Must Die franchise. It has started because I was like, oh, the new Orcs Must Die is on Game Pass. Hey, Wyatt, you want to check out the Death Trap game and like see how we like it. And we had a really good time. And that's kind of spiraled.
And then I went insane. I noticed that the entire franchise was discounted on Steam, like a hefty discount.
Yeah,
on
I think
Steam.
in celebration of Death Trap launching, because Death Trap had like
Yeah.
just launched at the time.
the other 3 games on Steam were at most like $10 or something. So I was like, all right, fucking why not? And I've played a little bit of all 3 of them. It is interesting because I actually, in retrospect, wish that I hadn't started with Death Trap first, because I feel like
Mhm.
it's not really a good representation of what the other games are like.
Oh, because
There's
Death
a
Trap is like
lot of
kind of a
changes.
roguelite with
Well,
like
that's not
meta
even what I'm
progression.
talking about. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm just saying with how liberal the traps are.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably describe what this game is for people who don't know.
Mhm.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, it is a tower defense third-person shooter.
I would say like trap
Or
defense mixed with a horde shooter is almost the
yeah. So you it's like I said, from a third-person perspective, you have a map. You're running around. You're setting up traps. You're trying to dictate the direction of the orcs that are trying to get from one place to whatever thing you're defending. And then once the round starts and you've set up all of your traps, orcs come in and you can either use the traps to defeat them, or you can use your weapons, whatever weapons you have, to defeat them.
your
The
war
idea
mage
is-
abilities.
Exactly. The idea is, though, you're not just going to run up there and start shooting everything before they even get to your traps. The way that they handle it is you get money per kill in the game during like an attack phase. But the way that they've handled it, and this is where the gears really start turning in your head. The way you get more coins per kill is if you combo your kill with other traps. So if you combo your final kill with like a buzzsaw trap and a spike trap, then that's a three. Then that's a like a combo of 3. So you get more money. And so if you can combine that with more traps, you get like a ×9 or a ×10, and you just get a shit ton of money to spend on the next wave. And that was like one of the most ingenious parts of the game is like, no, you can't just shoot them. You have to combo that with all of your traps. So it really makes you think about how you're placing everything and where you're positioning your war mage during the attack phase. It is so addicting. Oh my god. And the reason why Death Trap is interesting in comparison to the other games is because it is, now to be fair, it handles difficulty in a different way than the other games do, and Ryan and I have been slowly working up in difficulty in Death Trap, but they are so liberal with the traps and everything that you get to use. Like Ryan and I,
It
when we
feels
say we've
more
committed-
tower defensy than the other games, because
Yeah.
a lot of the other games, you're really limited in how many towers you have and what purpose they serve. Because you, like, we say tower defense, but Orcs Must Die doesn't really use towers very often. Like, typically things are like, oh, it'll attach to the floor, it'll attach to a wall, and it only hits like directly in front of it.
Or
So you
it's
need to like build
physics-based
around a trap.
traps.
Yeah.
There's physics-based traps, which are really fun. So there's one that's a spring that like launches orcs, so you can launch them off the map or like back further into your pit of death if you want to. There's a cannon that sucks up smaller dwarfs and shoot orcs and shoots them at like the larger trolls and stuff, which is a lot of fun. But Death Trap is interesting, mainly because of the barricades. One of the best traps in the entire series is barricades, and they really make it clear. In the older games, it's crazy. If you take the barricades out of your like selected traps, they're like, "Hey, you're getting rid of the barricades. Are you sure you want to do that?" Like that's how important they are. But in every other game, it's just a trap. It takes up one of your trap slots. uh, uh, this one's different because you start off with a set number of barriers that it's completely separated from your other traps. And during your like roguelike run, you can increase this if you want, or you can turn them into like double wide uh, traps or barricades if you want to. But they give you so many at the start. Like they are so in the older games, they are so stingy. Like your first wave will probably be like one arrow trap, a spike trap, and a dream. Like that's all you get for the first couple rounds. Where in Death Trap, it's like, oh yeah, you can place down like 20 barricades and like 15 spike traps, and we'll throw in some bomb disposals in there, um and maybe again maybe that changes in the higher difficulties, but it was kind of a shock going from Death Trap where it just feels like you can just do whatever the fuck you want in the first run and it's fine. And then these other ones where it's so stingy. But I kind of prefer that, to be honest, because I think it makes it more
Tactical.
hectic and it's more tactical, and you're less just kind of standing there and shooting into your death trap, which is fun. You know, it's what got me into playing these games in the first place. But
You kind of hit a point where you just don't need to do anything.
well, yeah,
these
especially
games.
because and a lot of the design decisions for Death Trap is interesting because they increased the co-op from 2 players to 4 players. So now you've got these gigantic fucking maps, like way bigger than the other games. But really all you do is you block off a couple things with barricades and you send them down one path like normal. So there's so much space in one map that you just don't even end up using.
Yeah.
Which is, it does feel like a bit of a waste in that aspect. And all of the maps that I thought were really good in Death Trap were ones from the previous games, which is a bit of a shame. But no, overall it's so much fun because in between you're collecting skulls, which I love. Like the currency to upgrade your traps in between games is literally the skulls of the orcs that you kill. Like I think that's kind of
Oh.
what they're
Of
implying,
course.
which is kind of hilarious, and I love that. Um, Also, really nice looking games, especially 3 and Death Trap, have some of like the most gorgeous VFX that I've seen in a long time. Like
Yeah, they're really good.
they go
They're like
so
painterly
hard.
almost. It's very
Yeah,
good.
It's really cool looking. I also like in the older games, you have your one primary weapon, and then you can, using a trap slot, you can equip as many weapons or trinkets or whatever as you want. So you can focus on just creating a really like kitted out war mage, or you can focus more on traps, which is kind of interesting. Um, but no, they're such a blast. The third one makes a great Steam Deck game. Don't even try with the other two. They just don't work that well on Steam Deck, unfortunately. Yeah, just like a genre that's very unique, and I haven't seen a lot of other people try something like this. Like Ryan and I talked about. Oh yeah, there's Sanctum, which definitely doesn't feel as polished.
Yeah.
um, which is interesting because the first Orcs Must Die and Sanctum came out like
Within a
around
couple
this
months of
decade,
each other.
which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy, kind of nuts. But yeah, no, it's excellent. It's super addicting. It's got a really nice art style to it.
Yeah.
The shooting for almost all the weapons feels really nice. I especially like the third game has these things that are called, they're called like battlegrounds or like siege missions or something like that,
Yep.
where the maps are
The
much
war
bigger.
scenarios.
The war scenario, thank you. But like the maps are much bigger, but they offset that by typically having them be outside on fields. And the idea is you have specific traps that are just for those war missions, and it's like a giant line of archers or like giant catapults. Very cool and very thematic. One of the coolest ones is literally a wooden structure that you place, and then that allows you to build traps around it, because in a lot of these empty spaces you can really only put like floor traps. But if you put this structure in just the right way, you can block orcs, and then you can put whatever fucking shit you want on it, so you can really utilize your other traps. And you're typically like defending a castle or something. Like those are really fun, and like they triple the amount of orcs on
Yeah, they're
screen,
super
which is
cool.
always really fun. Yeah, no, I really like the third one. I know the fan
Dude, we gotta play
favorite
some
is
3
the second
multiplayer
one.
because we played a lot of Death Trap, but
I wanted to like today before the recording, but I just had too much stuff going on today. But maybe after, I don't know. But no, this is great. And honestly, if we wanted to do a stream night where it's like we get two other people in, that'd be a lot of fun, I think.
hell yeah. All right, yeah, and I also love the Orcs Must Die games. I think it's really fun that Wyatt is liking them because I think you don't traditionally like tower defense, right?
That's like, I mean, in the right context, I remember playing so much Kingdom Rush on my phone way back in
Oh
the day,
yeah,
and I still have a lot of fond memories.
because I think
Playing,
we
like,
had this conversation
Kingdom
and you were like,
Rush.
it's just hard to stay invested in a tower defense on like a computer or like a bigger screen where you're like,
Yeah.
I would rather be doing something more actively, and Orcs Must Die gives you that active thing to do
Yeah.
with your war
Whereas,
mage,
like,
so
I
you're
always,
not like stuck.
yeah, I always thought like traditional tower defense works really well on, like a mobile phone or something, when you're just kind of wasting time waiting for your bus or whatever. But if I'm, it's nice to have something a bit more active while I'm at my
Mhm.
computer. I don't know if it's still on sale right now. I highly recommend, like, the franchise sale was kind of nuts.
They go on sale pretty frequently because a lot of the past 3 games, aside from Death Trap, are pretty often on sale.
Yeah. No, so much fun, and I like Death Trap for what it is, and so I think now that I'm a little bit more familiar, I want to crank up that difficulty a little bit more when we do another run.
Yeah.
No, super cool, honestly. It's cool that Death Trap is on Game Pass. Kind of wish 3 was, because 3 is really good. But
3 was until Death Trap was on it. I think they traded 3 for Death
that's
Trap.
right.
So
That's right. If it's on sale, check it out. It's so much fun.
yeah. All right. Alex, I know you popped in. You have any game specifically you want to talk about before we dive deep into the Elder Scrolls?
That's basically what I've been playing. That's
Okay,
about it.
great. Let's start.
Let's get into this
If you
episode.
can't
Let's
tell
talk
by
about-
the Oblivion shirt that
Oh my god.
The only other game I've been playing is the Pokemon TCG, and that's like a whole nother thing. So
yeah, we got to do a
please.
separate episode for that one.
Dive in.
All right.
I've got stuff to talk about.
So, Yeah, surprising on Monday, there was a Bethesda showcase, or was it Tuesday? It was Tuesday, wasn't
It
it?
was Tuesday.
Yeah, there was a Bethesda showcase that they put and just dropped Oblivion's remaster on us. It was done by Virtuous Studios, who have handled a number of like support work things for other studios. This is probably, I would say, their highest profile thing that they're attached to, and it's super good, incredibly fun. I've been playing it nonstop since it is literally the only game that I've launched.
I knew it. I knew it had to come out.
To be
The
clear,
One Piece is real.
To be clear, Ryan and I were playing a lot of Death Trap. As soon as Oblivion came out, I
No more
have
Death
not
Trap.
heard.
I'm not
I've barely
joking in that I
heard-
literally like
since.
have not played another game. I have launched Warframe to get my login reward, and that's it. It has just been Oblivion for me, to the point where like Oblivion coming out legitimately made me look through my backlog and just delete a bunch of things and clean it up, because I was just like, okay, yeah, Oblivion's out, I'm gonna spend this amount of time, so yeah, like all these games are getting yeeted into Oblivion, literally. So yep, I have a lot of free hard drive space now because I'm just playing Oblivion.
Hey, you know what that hard drive space could be used for? Modding.
The thing with Oblivion for me, so Oblivion is...
It doesn't really need it.
Yeah, Oblivion's not a game that needs mods. I think it does have lots of really good ones, especially the original Oblivion. For context, there are mods out for Oblivion Remastered. There's some like limitations as to what can be done right now. I think people are still not entirely sure how the Unreal layer reacts to the creation engine Gamebryo core here. So there's like a...
I'm so curious. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
Cut you off, but I'm so curious how that is working, because what they implied from what I saw in the the announcement is that like they're still running the old engine for a lot.
They
of
are, because
logic.
you can look through the file structure if you download the Oblivion Remaster and find the old data files. Like they're all still there.
That's really interesting.
Beautiful Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, it's a crazy
For how
like way they built it.
Frankenstein it is. I'm really impressed. I mean, I'm having a bit of performance issues, but honestly, my computer's getting to be kind of low end. But like, I'm impressed with how well it's been running for me, considering it's a Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, I'll say, so I'll preface this by saying I'm running on a pretty beefy computer. I have a 5080 in here and a CPU that's not new, but is not really a slouch. And I can pretty consistently stick to high frame rates. That said, I have heard a number of reports of performance issues. It's also this remaster is Steam Deck verified.
God, that's right.
Don't play it on Steam Deck. Don't do it. It looks worse than original Oblivion on Steam Deck.
It's pretty shaky
no.
for me. I have a 4070 Super, and it's pretty shaky. Like
You have to
especially
tune the
outside.
settings a little bit.
Especially
I also,
outside. I think I'm running on like medium to low, and it's still not great for me.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I think
running
it's
on
mostly
low,
the
and
DLSS
it's-
and hardware ray tracing that cause problems with frame rate. So messing with those settings will get you some back.
Mine runs like a dream when I'm inside of a dungeon.
Yeah.
Yep. Same.
No issues at all in dungeons. Overworld, you're going to get about half the frame rate, I find, depending on where you are. To my understanding, too, it's also a pretty CPU-bound game. Digital Foundry did a really big kind of breakdown, so I wonder if there's like some unoptimized CPU stuff. Granted, this is a shadow drop on a random Tuesday.
I was gonna say I would not be surprised if we see a lot of this start to get patched in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah.
I would absolutely expect some patches for this.
Obviously, I wish that it was better, but I have not had. Okay, I've had one major bug. It really pissed me off for like 5 minutes, and then whatever, I reinstalled the game and it worked. But I lost my opening hours of the game because it looked like it was like when I was in the game, it looked like it was saving correctly, but when I came back the next day, all my saves were gone.
Yeah, which I have to wonder, that also could be a number of things, just like the way that the cloud saves are handled or whatever didn't work.
Yeah, I really was wondering if it was something like Windows level, it could not write the file, but the game didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I have been playing it on Steam and have not had any issues related to cloud saving, and I have played it on 3 different computers since. having installed.
Yeah,
So I know the
didn't
cloud
know,
saves
too,
are
if
working.
it was something
but-
to do with the Xbox cloud save. My first hint that something was up, but it was on the Xbox store, which I don't like. I don't know. It's not the best. I noticed before I launched the game and realized all my saves were gone. I was like, hey, I don't have any of the achievements that I should like. I got through the tutorial. I should at least have that one.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then I
it
launched the
almost
game.
sounds like something just wasn't working the first time you launched it.
Yeah. So I reinstalled, and then the first time I launched it after the reinstall, I ran as admin just to try to get in around any permission issues. I recreated my character and sped through the intro and was basically caught up within
Yeah.
an hour.
All right. Well, I should just do a general description of Oblivion for people that don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah,
I'd be
we
kind of
haven't
surprised.
talked about that.
It's an Elder Scrolls game. You kind of know what you're getting with an Elder Scrolls game. I think Oblivion is like, if you like Skyrim, you will like Oblivion. If you like Oblivion, you will probably like Skyrim. If you like Morrowind, maybe your luck will vary. We'll see.
If you like Morrowind, go play D&D.
If you like Morrowind, you'll probably like Oblivion more than Skyrim.
I think that I like Oblivion more than Skyrim, especially this
So do I.
remaster that
Um,
helps
I will
smooth
say,
a few
yeah, I'm
things
rocking the
over.
Oblivion shirt. They put a bunch of Oblivion gear up on the Bethesda store right after the showcase. Oblivion to me is like legitimately, I think I can make a very solid case that it is my favorite game, just full stop. And I can very definitively say it's the game that made me want to become a game designer. And I can draw a direct line from Oblivion to doing world design as a career. So I think it's like, to me, this is a very important video game in a funky way. And yeah, it's really surreal to be playing it again as a remaster. And especially because considering I'll be able to do that twice this year if Sky Oblivion launches when they say they're going to, because I'm sure that's also going to be really fun. And a very interesting take on things. I just want to mention, Bethesda gave the entire Sky Oblivion team copies of the game, which is super cool.
Very cool move.
Very,
So cool.
very, especially in like a world where we're looking at like Nintendo DMCA emulation creators and a bunch of stuff like that all the time.
It felt like
Really
a
fun to see
classy
support
move.
for the modding community and whatnot. So yeah, I think they're just Bethesda and Virtuous are handling this remaster in I think the best possible way. And yeah, this is the 2006 Oblivion. Like it's the same game under the hood. And don't take that as like a knock because 2006 Oblivion was really good. It was game of the year for tons of outlets and whatnot. I think most people that haven't played this game are going to be surprised how well it holds up. Especially considering it's only a couple years after Morrowind. So there's not a lot of
really
time in between.
Feel like, especially this remastered version, but even when we played it, the original Oblivion
Mhm.
for Game Pass, I was surprised at how close, because I had never played it before the Game Pass.
Yeah.
But I was surprised, and especially with the remaster, how close this is to Skyrim in terms of like game design and like there was not like you can tell there was a leap between Morrowind and Oblivion. And Oblivion and Skyrim feels like they changed a few things and made the graphics look better, but now with this remaster I definitely like Oblivion more.
It also
The
feels
leap
like
from
Oblivion
Was
Oh,
that
go
they
ahead,
were
Alex.
about to go bankrupt when they
Yeah.
finally came out with Morrowind.
If Morrowind and Oblivion did not succeed, there was a real chance that Bethesda was going to close, I believe is what they've said in interviews. And like the success of Morrowind and then the follow-up of Oblivion doing really well meant that like they're in solid hands. And then Fallout and all the other stuff came afterwards that has kind of cemented them as a studio. And like obviously a lot of people have really strong opinions on Bethesda. We've talked about this on our Starfield videos that
We've
like
talked
I'm
about
sure
it
that I
so
have-
much.
Spoken strong opinions about Bethesda.
yeah, and I think Oblivion is like legitimately my hope with this is that people will see Oblivion and see that like there is a direct line from everything Bethesda's done from Oblivion forward about their style of writing and a bunch of things. And yeah, there are things I prefer about Oblivion, and I think a lot of people do, because Oblivion does not hold your hand the same way that Skyrim does. There are a lot of quests that require you, like, instead of giving you a quest marker to a specific spot, will tell you go to a town and then just talk to people. And you have to do that to solve the quest. It's like you have to figure out who you actually need to be talking to and where you need to go. I was having this conversation
like
with Alex the other day, and my favorite thing about the way that Oblivion is
Oh.
structured is that Oblivion encourages you to go everywhere you want immediately, where it's like you can do anything you want in any order. And the best example of that to me is the Mages Guild quests, which are, you literally go to any Mages Guild and they'll be like, oh, you got to go speak to one of the two people in these towns, in these two towns. One of them will let you join the Mages Guild. So you travel to one of those towns and you can join the Mages Guild. And then you get told, okay, go to every city and talk to every, do a little recommendation quest for every Mages Guild. And that will let you into the Arcane University. The Arcane University is basically the Oblivion equivalent of the College of Winterhold in Skyrim.
And in Skyrim, you can be let into the College of Winterhold without knowing a
Because one
single
spell.
spell. Oh no, you don't even have to know a single spell. You can just shout at the person and they'll let you in.
Yeah, you just got to do anything. Oblivion, though, granted, in Oblivion, you also don't need to cast spells. You can do the Mages Guild quest without casting spells.
Oh, that's yeah.
It is harder, but that's also because
Very
Oblivion has a
funny.
design ethos of, like, you can kind of solve any problem in any way as long as you can solve it.
Well, it's that, and I think they definitely started to show this in a lesser extent than in Morrowind, but it's definitely one of those games where you can do everything, but at least in the original, with
You're not
how
expected
character
to.
leveling worked, yeah, you weren't going to complete every like guild
It's
quest in
Oblivion is
a
much
single
more about making a character and an archetype and kind of playing to that archetype. The remaster does make it a lot easier to play multiple archetypes with one character in the way that leveling is reworked, which I think is a really good thing. Of like, you can do all the guild quest lines in Oblivion without much of a problem. But like, there are quests in Oblivion that require you to get arrested. If you get arrested, that puts you in bad standing with some of the guilds, and so like, you have to actually have consequences for your actions in Oblivion, in a way that Skyrim is kind of afraid to do.
Stop! You violated the law.
Yeah. Like, I think, and back to the Mages Guild point that I was making, is like that them recommending you to go to every town to gather a recommendation to then go to the Arcane University means you kind of have a built-in quest line that gets you to travel the world, go to every town, learn about the towns that you're in and like the problems of the people there, and then expose you to side quests and everything. And it's a very natural way to like explore and get used to the world before you then go back to the Arcane University once you've done all of the recommendation quests. And they can be really simple. Like, one of them is just play a prank, and it's great. Some of them are a little bit more involved, where you're like, oh, you got to go discover that one of the people did a bad thing, and you have to get the recommendation from someone else and stuff like that.
Or, hey, get
I
this
feel like
ring in a
the,
well for me.
Yeah. It's great. It's just a really good way to expose you to the world.
I feel like the main quests in this game too hit a pretty good like narrative. I don't know how I'm trying to say this. Take Witcher 3 for example. The main story in that game is kind of at odds with how much there is to do in the rest of the game. I feel like, as much as I love that game, there is like an urgency to the main quest that sometimes I'll be, I'm fucking around meeting my 16th NPC and something, and then I go, hey, wait, isn't my adoptive daughter supposedly like dying right now or something? And I feel like, at least initially with the game, like there is somewhat of an urgency to the main quest, but it doesn't completely feel like, if you go and start doing other stuff, like the world is not about to end. There's like a
I'd
big
say it's
mystery
treated
of,
with
like, hey, you have to
urgency in the
find this
way
guy.
that Lord of the Rings treats its quest with urgency, where it's like, yes, there is a big problem that has to be solved and a thing to do,
Yeah.
but doing that thing needs time and talent and skill and like all these people and whatnot. So go also do all these other things.
Yeah, and
it makes a
I
lot
feel
more
like
sense.
it's exactly, and I find the main story a lot more, at the same time, a lot more gripping than Skyrim's.
And what kind of helps with that too, weirdly, is what seems like a very, in the grand scheme of things, seems like an insignificant detail. But one thing I really like is how I absolutely love whenever you level up, you have these little descriptions of what your character is feeling when they level up,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
I think that in a kind of like a subconscious way is like, hey, yes, there is this impending threat that you have to solve, but also they basically pitch your character as like right before leaving the prison and being freed by Uriel Septim, basically. Like your entire life has just been nothing. Like it's just been free form. Now you've been given purpose. And what I like about that is that it's like, yes, there's this threat. You have to do what you can to help, save Tamriel from this threat. But at the same time, you're also someone who's essentially starting over. And in a weird way, the game realizes, it makes you realize that. And it's like you can't just run in there with the first short sword that you pick up. In a weird way, it's this strange kind of subconscious thing of like you're just now coming into your own as a person, which
Yeah.
kind of alleviates a lot of the kind of narrative dissonance that comes with like doing all these side quests.
Yeah,
At
and
least that's
you
how I
start off
interpreted it.
you start off with like a handful of items and like a handful of spells and abilities and whatnot, enough to get you into the game, but not enough to get you far into the game before you kind of go like, damn, I kind of wish I had another spell. Kind of wish I had a better
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah.
Yep. I also like the Oblivion Gate system quite a lot. I think Oblivion Gates are a really cool concept for how they handle. Like Skyrim just doesn't really have an equivalent. Like I think the idea is that in Skyrim the dragon fights are filling the same role, but they're generally like way less satisfying than going into an Oblivion Gate and like getting this awesome sequence of fighting up a tower to go tear the sigil stone out and close the gate.
I think the difference is back in 2011, dragon fights sounded like the coolest fucking thing in the world, and back in the day, they were the coolest thing in the world. But
Yeah, maybe
in
I've
terms
done
of
too many of them.
but in terms of what ages better over time, the Oblivion Gates I think age better over time than the initial like burst of excitement you get from the concept of fighting a dragon.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. And I also just like Oblivion has it tie into systems of like the stones that you get are a free enchantment. Sometimes they're more unique or powerful than enchantments that you can do on your own. And like even enchanted to begin with, you need to get access to the Arcane University or the Frostcrag Spire for that. So you can't just do that anywhere you want. It's not like a thing that you have free access to. I think there's a lot of just like really good decisions like that drive you to explore the world and talk to characters and like actually learn these mechanics and systems in a way that Skyrim isn't interested in having you do. I also think Oblivion. The thing with Oblivion is that it has my favorite towns. I think in anything. It has a set of like really really distinct towns, but they all still feel like they belong in the same region. Whereas I think Skyrim, like, it has the distinct towns, but they don't always feel like they work. Like, there's a little bit of a question mark as to, like, wait, how does this function as a place? And, like, everything kind of follows the same formula of, it's got a general store, it's got, like, a thing that it'll have that's like, oh, Solitude has this waterfront that you can go to and whatnot. But not everything really comes together as a cohesive town. Whereas, like, Oblivion, you have multiple shops. You've got different types of shops. Not every town will have every type of shop. You have a mages guild and a fighters guild in every town, but they don't all offer the same quests and whatnot. It's really interesting stuff like that where you actually have... It feels more like a distinct place. The NPC AI is, I think, better than Skyrim's, although also more prone to breaking. I think that's a very fair thing to say, but I think that trade-off is a good thing when they feel a lot more unique in Oblivion. Like the little chatter conversations they have are incredibly silly but very entertaining. So
Yeah.
Hello.
And I think that also leads into what I think makes the remaster so interesting.
mhm.
And I'm sure we'll get into the topic of the line between remaster and remake with this
Yeah.
specifically. But what I find so interesting and what I really appreciate about this remaster is that genuinely more so than other remasters or remakes that we've gotten, this feels like it was made by fans. In
Yeah.
that they were very careful to not smooth over a lot of the rough edges that gives this game its charm. Like
That's what I've heard.
Like here's the thing. The NPCs are cool. The Radiant kind of design is interesting. It does not work a lot of the time. It is goofy and weird, and you will get NPC interactions in this game that you will not find anywhere else. And I really respect
Sometimes you like enter a
that.
building and 80 conversations happen at the same time, and you
Yes.
can't hear a single thing.
It's fucking hilarious.
perfect.
I got the classic bug during the battle for Kvatch when Marius,
Of course you did,
whatever
Wyatt.
his name is, that is like leading the charge. You guys come out of the sewer, you unlock the gate, and then you charge into the courtyard and you kill everyone in the courtyard, and then you have to go over and talk to him, and it's bugged, so he just goes, "Now we charge the courtyard! Leave no one standing!" After we're already just standing in the courtyard. And
Oh,
we've
I did
already
get that
killed
same
everyone.
bug.
And it's just like, what? Just like goofy, and like I sent you guys a meme of one where it's like two guys that are in an Oblivion gate, and one of them is burning in this lake of lava, and then the other guy walks up and is like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" He's like, "I'm doing all right," and then he just shoots straight up into the sky. It's amazing. You're never gonna find interactions like this in any other game, and the devs knew that. They kept all that stuff in there because it's what gives the game its charm.
Yeah.
Nothing's better
Like
than the fact that they kept the voice line where she
Yep.
goes, "Oh, let me do that one again."
They did. Yes.
In case you didn't know, all the
It's
voice
even
actors, all
clearer.
4 of them in the entirety of the original Oblivion, when they were recording their lines, they were given their lines in alphabetical order. So they lacked context as to what they were actually saying most of the time. Which is insane, and it's so funny.
And you could really tell, like, because they added new voice actors as well. They made sure that every race / gender combo has a unique voice, so you're not hearing the same set of voices as often as you were in the original Oblivion, which is super cool. But the funky thing is that, like, the audio quality for the original Oblivion voice acting is pretty good. So it's like not a quality thing that tells you what the remake or remaster audio lines are. You can tell that the new voice actors were given some amount of context as to what's going on. So like certain quests that have been like revoiced because of this, you'll hear them actually like have some intonations as to what's going on, whereas the original would just be like nails on a chalkboard monotone the whole time. It's really funny.
And as Alex said too, there's a great bug where someone does a line read, and they kept in this like audio file where she like says the line, it's a really bad read, and then you hear the voice actor just go, "Hold on, let me try that again." Does the line over again. It's so funny. Oh my
It's
god.
perfect.
really funny to me too because they've got the new visual like mouth sync going
Yep.
on. So like it looks really good also for most of the cutscenes. I've had 1 or 2 where the timing's a little off, but overall it's really good. But like literally you get her line and then you hear her go, "Hold on, let me do that one more time." And the character like clearly says it.
That's so fucking funny.
It's great. Yeah, it's really fun. I think that there's a lot of cool things too with like the Daedric quests are just goofy and fun in this one compared to being like whole quest sequences like Skyrim, which I actually think Skyrim did a great job of them, but I think it is just really cool that you like find a shrine in the wilderness and then you go talk to like this weird priest who explains to you, depending on the Daedric prince or what like crazy thing they want you to do. Like Sheogorath, he's like, "Oh, he's gonna want some yarn, a head of lettuce, and a soul gem." You're like, you need to go find all these random things to start this quest.
I need to be less of a people person for, I think, Namira.
Yeah, Namira needs you to suck at talking to people, so you need to drink a bunch of wine beforehand. And they're like really simple quests, but they're very fun and just very flavor filled as to what's going on. Just lots of little stuff like that. Like I think Oblivion's like world space is less varied than Skyrim is, but I think it stands out more because of how they use like the lack of variation to their help in this sense. Like there's like 3 types of points of interest you find in the wilderness. You find shrines, you find alien ruins, and you find forts, and like occasionally mines, and that's basically it. That's like the 4 types of things that you can go find in the wilderness, and yet it doesn't really feel like a bad thing because there's still tons of variety within those. Like the alien ruins, especially, feel like proper dungeon crawls a lot of the time, which is really
It's like,
fun.
you're still it's still very easy to get lost in the caves and the mines because of the not because of the not because of the very samey textures in the darkness, but also because of the very samey in the textures and the darkness, but done more satisfyingly, I guess.
Now, there is a question I want to ask you guys, given that they kept in a lot of these weird, let's call them quirks. They kept in a lot of the weird quirks, and we love them and we embrace them. My question to the rest of you, I guess, barring Brett, who's played this game a lot more than I have, why is it that it's okay here and not in other games? Whether it's games that came out at the time or games that are coming out more recently.
I have
Like
not
what?
played this game more than you have. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying, except for Brett, the other people here have played it.
I was
Yeah.
not.
Oh, I can hear that.
I probably haven't, but
I think a lot of it's what
Um,
they are. Like a lot of the things here, it turn out to be a little bit funny.
Yeah, they're
It
funny
reminds
bugs
me
and
of like
not game-breaking ones, except
Yeah,
for the
the
ones that you
roach
seem
in
to run
Witcher
into,
3.
Wyatt.
I think is the same kind of thing. It's also just like, yeah, I think when you compare it to like a Ubisoft jank and like Assassin's Creed Unity, where the game just kind of breaks apart, Oblivion is like Oblivion always feels like it's close to breaking, but tends to not actually break.
Yeah.
That's
For
almost
the
more
history
endearing.
of the
I will say,
engine, it's more in the studio's personality as well at this point.
I will say you
Where-
did bring up Ubisoft. I do think they approach the levels of funny jank and bugs that you can get in a Bethesda game from time to time. There are times where like it doesn't disrupt the game at all, but it
Yeah.
does make you crack up pretty good.
yeah.
I don't know. I do think in
I
general,
think-
like people are sometimes too harsh on this stuff. Like I think Oblivion at the time, like this was so revolutionary that they forgave a lot more compared to modern games. But I also think like people going into this that haven't played Oblivion before are probably going to have a really good time, but be like, oh well, why is this happening? And then realize, oh, that's just a quirk of the game. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it can be a problem sometimes, but I also think it's just generally not that much of an issue because the game
Yeah, I
itself
mean,
is
I
really
was-
fun.
I was mad about my game saving issue because I was like, damn it. No, it wasn't even the game progress. It was, damn it, I have to go back and go through the character creator again because I had spent a lot of time trying to tweak my Khajiit to look exactly like our cat.
and like one
So
of the
like
bugs
that bugged me, but like
Mhm.
you know when there's like a goofy, like I had one, the first moment where I was like, oh, I really am playing Oblivion is when I came into like the Fighters Guild or something, and I went up the stairs and there's two NPCs standing awkwardly talking to each other, and one of them asks about the weather and the other one asks about the weather.
Oh,
And I
not
was
too
like, yes.
bad.
the only time in this playthrough like a bug has really bothered me is right as I get to Kvatch, you meet up with Maris or Marius or whatever his name is, and then he's like, "Oh, you gotta go do this thing." There's a moment where none of that triggers because there's a I think it was like one of the what summoners or whatever they're called that come from the Oblivion
Mhm.
gates that are like fighting with some of the Kvatch guards, but behind an invisible wall, so I couldn't like hit him with my sword. I couldn't hit him with fireball or an arrow or anything. It was like behind this weird invisible wall, and it's like, how the fuck did you get back there? So I had to reload a couple times because I couldn't get there. But that was the only time that it really like.
That was it. That was the gate of Oblivion.
Yeah, that was the gate, dude. Yeah, I also think a lot of it can come down to like how frustrating the bugs are because Oblivion bugs are usually just they fix themselves if you reload, whereas a lot of the more like devious bugs in other games tend to not do that. Like you'll be running into a thing consistently. It's also like Oblivion, worst case scenario, let's use console commands, right? You have like a command layer to get into if you need to do these things, and those are present in the remaster. You can use all of them.
I'll say
So-
I've had worse than I have in Oblivion. I've had worse troubles in some of the like Fallout New Vegas,
Yeah,
where once again I still continue to play that game despite the fact I had to like console command myself into a wall because a guy had walked behind a locked door, but I needed to talk to him to complete a quest. and he wouldn't come out.
Yeah,
but
I think it's also like the magic of Oblivion is in the way the NPCs work, and the reason that like Skyrim feels less alive to me is because they don't have those dumb conversations. Because yeah, they're silly and they're dumb, but you get these moments where you like see a guard talking to a civilian, and they're having like a vaguely realistic conversation, and when it works, it really works. Like I was playing with Alex earlier, and we were hanging out in a Discord call, and I just saw like a Argonian run across my screen while a bunch of guards were chasing them and like shot them till they died.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "What's going on?" And I looked up this character.
NPC too.
It was a named NPC, and I looked up this character to see like if they were an important thing, if I needed to reload. And apparently, it's because that NPC is a beggar who doesn't have any food, and so they will occasionally try to go steal food. And if they get caught, they might try to resist arrest. And so they can get caught, resist arrest, run around, and then get killed, like the player would if they were in that scenario.
Feel like
and like that was super cool to just see happen randomly.
Now, please stop me if I'm starting to turn into a boomer, and you're like, no, actually, modern games do this kind of thing. But like, I feel like I don't see that kind of interaction in modern games as much, because I feel like a lot of games, we'll take Skyrim for example, which does do some of this kind of stuff, but like, it's really focused on spreading out, you know, a bigger map, more things to do, rather than the like where, you know, this game's kind of constrained in some ways. So instead they focus on a bit more of a depth to some of those elements.
Yeah. I think part of it is that like Oblivion is technically a bigger map than Skyrim. I think they're really close to each other. Yeah, it is. It is technically a bigger map. I think that the quote unquote in there is that Oblivion's map is much more simple. Like there's not generally crazy outdoor points of interests, whereas Skyrim has lots of stuff built into the environment that is like these gigantic Nordic ruins built into mountains and stuff like that. That Oblivion doesn't really have an equivalent of.
Traverse the map a lot faster, but maybe there's just
part of it is it's just more
empty
open
spaces.
Like there's not a lot of mountains, there's not a lot of like barriers to you getting to places. Oblivion is a lot more about like most of the quests are located within cities or towns. There's less like radiant stuff in random positions, so it's more you kind of have to go seeking out the things rather than them just randomly finding you. But it's also just really satisfying to go like clear dungeons in Oblivion, or like you see an Oblivion gate pop up. And one of the really cool things is some of the Oblivion gates will have two entrances. So you can go in an Oblivion gate, see there's another gate inside of it, go to that gate, and then you'll appear in a different spot in the world. If instead of going to like immediately close the gate, you go over there, you might find out, oh, like this gate in Bruma connects to one in Leyawiin at the other side of the map. And you can go in and clear it that way, and it's just very cool to see like those connection points work. That and the quest writing thing, I don't actually think it's necessarily that Oblivion's quests are better written than Skyrim's, but I do think Oblivion's quests are a little bit more willing to give the player
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, the benefit of the doubt that like the player doesn't need to become the leader of everything. Like it's not.
God, yeah.
Like Oblivion is more willing for quests to not follow a
That's 'cause
formula.
You're not the Dragonborn.
Yeah, whereas like Skyrim was like everything's about you being the hero, and it feels way less real because of that. Whereas like Oblivion, you're really not the hero. Martin is kind of the hero for the story, so you're just kind of his best bud. Which could be leveled as a problem, but it means you're a lot more free to come up with stuff for your character and like play a character that fits a certain way. Like you can just not do the main quest in Oblivion if you don't want to. Whereas like Skyrim, it feels really hard to go because being Dragonborn unlocks so much stuff. Like if you'll never get shouts and whatnot if you don't do that. So it feels a lot more limiting to
There's also
not do the main quest in Skyrim.
That is like tied to like you defeat a dungeon and you get a shout.
Yeah.
So then like I'm like, well shit, I gotta get another.
I also just really like
shout.
the way of like getting quests in Oblivion and side quests is like going up to random people and asking about rumors. I feel like is way more fun than knowing exactly where you get your quests generally, or having to go talk to everyone individually.
Or having people, you know, you overhear a conversation, maybe you barely even overhear it, and the quest is automatically added to your inventory.
Well,
Yeah,
one of the things that
agree.
like Oblivion will do that I like is you can overhear a conversation about a thing, that rumor will get added to your quest list, but you still need to go like
Yeah.
the quest step will be go learn what this is. Like it's someone mentioned this, you should go talk to people in this town to figure out what this is.
Something I hate in games, and this game, I mean, like the more time I spend with it, the more it becomes like this, but I feel like it's got a good pace. I hate when my quest list just gets filled with a bunch of stuff that like all at once, or just like I just hate a quest list that is like ludicrously long.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, you know,
Especially
go here, go here.
Especially when you
and-
play long enough, and then like a lot of the quests in your log, like you don't even remember the context for.
yeah.
It's like, who the fuck? Who's this? Who's this person? What are we talking about?
What am I doing?
Yeah, and the quest is named something like A Dark Day. Go speak to Dave. I'm like, what? I don't.
A Dark
like,
Dave?
And like, this game I'm not going to say is like completely without that, but I do feel like the way the quest structure is so far, it's been more of like a drip feed where I'm like, oh, here's an interesting rumor, maybe I'll follow that a little bit, and then like go do that quest, and then let me go do the main quest or whatever. And it never felt quite as overwhelming. Like I'm getting flooded with quests that I don't know what the hell they mean.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I also love too, like the guild quest lines, I think to me are like really the biggest note of change from Oblivion to Skyrim. Is Oblivion was okay with you being a mook for a little while, where you're like, oh, I'm not even an apprentice in the Mages Guild. I need to go talk to everybody to even gain the rank of apprentice, and go across the entire world and do all this stuff. In some of the other areas, it's like, oh, the Thieves Guild, I have to find them. Like, the way you join the Thieves Guild is you figure out where to find them, and that's it. Like, you might hear a rumor, you might get caught stealing something, and someone comes talking to you in prison, or you could just stumble upon them, and you have your Thieves Guild opportunity. But then your first job as a Thieves Guild, you can ask the quest giver and be like, hey, like, do you have a job for me? And he's just like, what are you talking about? We're thieves. Just sell just go steal stuff and then sell it to a fence.
Make money for the guild.
It's really
Do
funny
it.
because the tone comes off like that, where he's like, what are you talking about? I would just have like a mission for you. We're a bunch of thieves. Go steal stuff, and then you can go, maybe you'll have like a commission or something later. But yeah, I think it's a really good free-form way of handling things, whereas like Skyrim, I get given a Radiant quest to go steal a specific thing, and that feels way less
Everything is
fun
building
than
up
just
to
go...
a heist.
Yeah, it feels way less fun than just go steal whatever you want and sell it. And like the Dark Brotherhood's the other classic one of the Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
The way that you
Oh
gain
my
access
God.
is so much more interesting, where it is just like, you need to kill a named NPC.
Kill a named
and-
NPC that is not hostile to you, that is nice.
Yeah, it has to be a quote-unquote innocent named NPC. And you gotta kill him in cold blood.
You're
and that'll
not
lead into the
killing-
quest.
You're not killing an evil orphanage owner who absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, who 100% deserved it. Yeah, I think it's far more interesting to be like, okay, go pick somebody to murk, and that's your entryway into the Dark Brotherhood.
And then it's another one of the greatest quests in the Elder Scrolls series.
Yeah, the Dark Brotherhood questline's amazing. But as is most of the Oblivion questlines, like they're generally all very good. Yeah, that's basically the Oblivion stuff. That's the Oblivion rant. There will probably be more to
Brett, how you
talk
doing?
about in the future.
I'm hanging out.
Brett, we will get you to play Oblivion someday.
It'll happen. I know it will.
You just chose a different game to be obsessed with for a little while.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's everything I had for our topics today, which means I got to ask everyone, what's your shout out?
Oblivion.
Holy shit. Just everybody.
Oblivion.
Actually, I do. God, or another game that Ryan and I have been playing that I'm also forcing everyone in for our Game Pass game to play that I could talk forever about. Blueprints. Oh my
Yeah,
God, it's
very
such a
good.
good puzzle game.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that.
Should I go more in depth at all, or just leave it for that?
That's
'cause
fine.
it's
That's fine.
shout out. Okay,
Because we're going to talk about it for Game Pass. So
Ryan,
Um,
do you? Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Alex.
Wyatt.
Alex.
Excuse me?
What are you talking about?
Excuse
I
you?
don't
Excuse us?
What's going on?
Alex lit up green on my screen. I don't-
All right, I'm just gonna go.
Go,
I
just go.
already showed it off, but I haven't gotten around to playing it until yesterday. But the Deep Rock expansion, Deep Rock Galactic board game expansion is amazing. It essentially adds the space rig in between all of your missions in the video game, and it adds a way to play missions consecutively while also increasing the like modifiers and giving you guys upgrades in between your missions and stuff, which is really cool. And all of it is ported directly from the game. There's even a card that allows you to throw your fucking beer stein at an alien and stun them, and that's amazing. It's
Very
really well
good.
done. We also did the mission type that the on-site refining where you have to set up all the pipes, and I thought it would be kind of a clusterfuck in board game form, but I think they actually found a really good way of adapting it to board game form. So fantastic, Ryan.
Right.
We got to play it on Tabletop Sim or something at some point.
Okay, Alex, you were chomping at the bit.
Well, I was gonna ask, do you have a spot for my camera on the stream already?
I can. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna turn my camera. The last couple weeks I think maybe not a couple weeks I've been in and out on the podcast, but last couple times I had shouted out a Pokemon thing. I don't have a pack to open here, but I did pull this. Whoops. Hold on. Don't blur me.
Nice Gaussian blur.
I did pull En's Zoroark EX, the gold one.
Oh dear.
I'll just believe you that's what that
I
is.
Yeah, we're just gonna believe you.
So,
Oh,
wait, here we
so
go.
this
here
is
we
what
go. There it
Carl
goes.
Weezer feels at the
there you go.
All right,
I hit the button to
Ophthalmologist.
unblur. Anyway, En's Zoroark EX, also the Whale Lord. Not like a crazy card. It's not the like $100 one, but it did make me go, I am gonna build the En's Zoroark deck.
Very fun.
So this one's in the binder, because the deck's not done. But
all right. Well, my shout out in honor of Oblivion. I now have an Oblivion gate on my desk, and it's very
Hell yeah.
satisfying. It lights up. It's very fun. These are on the Bethesda Gear Store. Cool little desk object to hang out here. All right, Brett, close us out.
So my hyperfixation lately that has gotten me through literally everything because I've had it on in the background for the past like month at plus. I don't even this literally the last time I was on here, this might have been what I shouted out last time and I just forgot. In which case that's really funny.
Yep.
But History Channel is not known for having much good television, but the one good show it does have is Forged in Fire.
Yep. This was what you shouted out last time.
Yeah.
And I'm still watching it.
Hey,
Perfect.
Yeah. Testament to it.
Very, very good.
Really
All
good.
right.
There's nothing to add. It's
Blacksmith
infinite
competition.
content.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say
Yeah.
Ice Road Truckers, but you know.
No, maybe next time. Maybe
No,
next
obviously,
time
Brett
we
is just
can.
watching a lot of Ancient Aliens right now, and we should give him the space he needs.
Yep. Yeah.
On that note, that's the end of our show. As always, Tuesdays, podcast of your choice, YouTube and Twitch. That's it. That's the whole thing. Like and subscribe. Gotta do the YouTuber thing.
hey, you know when you missed like the first 25 minutes of one of these episodes, they go real fast.
It's a long one. A long one. My goodness.